One of the viewers of my videos, in particular about legal translation, she asked me if I could give some classes on legal translation and how to do this kind of translation. Today I am going to talk about this particular text which I have come across, and I thought if I go and analyze this text, it might be useful for those who are interested in legal translation. I am going to talk about it as a source text. In other words, I am not going to translate it or show you any translation of this text at the moment, because the first job that the translator should do is analyze the text. And here is the text. Everyone is entitled to all the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration. Watch, the word declaration is capitalized. Without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, politics or political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. We notice here that it is quite a long sentence here. Very long sentence, and within this sentence there's quite a lot of additions or extensions, shall we say. For example, when it says without distinction of any kind, and then it elaborates more, such as race, color, sex, language, religion. And then it carries on extending this enumeration in order to include as much as possible any possibility or any kind of distinction, including, of course, the origin, which is national or social, which is national or social, property, birth, or other status. And then the text moves on to talk about, furthermore, no distinction shall be made on the basis of the political, jurisdictional, or international status of the country or territory to which a person belongs, whether it is independent, trust, non-self-governing, or under any other limitation of sovereignty. Again, we find additions within the same sentence. It's a very complex sentence, and we can see shall be made, the passive be made, is used, the same as the passive we have in the first sentence, is entitled. And also the auxiliary verb shall, which does not mean the future here. It means it is an obligation. Another thing which is about this second sentence is that there are some words that are used in the legal system, like jurisdiction, which means authority, related to authority. And then also it explains the country or territory to which a person belongs, and it explains that territory and says that it is independent, trust, non-self-governing, or under any other limitation of sovereignty. You can see how much explanation within the same sentence. Also, this second sentence seems to be almost independent of the first sentence. Then when we move on to the next part of this text, we see that everyone, the text says, this is the third part, it says everyone, or a third sentence, everyone charged with a penal offense. All of this is a noun, and it's a very long noun phrase. Everyone charged with a penal offense has the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, according to law, in a public trial at which he has had all the guarantees necessary for his defense. Here we find again not only set expressions like presumed innocent until proven guilty, and also according to law in a public trial or according to law. And also we have noticed that it is everyone, it's actually including every person. But I think here this text has actually violated the legal language by using the word his defense, assuming and he, the pronouns. Because in legal contexts or in legal texts, you do not use pronouns. Pronouns are hardly used because of the fact that so that to avoid any ambiguity in the text. And that's why it is used. It's not used, these pronouns. Sometimes the it is used, but it's not very commonly used. We'll move on to the last paragraph, and you can see that each paragraph is an entity on its own, independent of the previous and the one that comes after. And that is one of the features of the legal texts in English. No one shall be held guilty of any penal offence on account of any act or omission which did not constitute a penal offence under national or international law at the time when it was committed. Nor shall a heavy, and then it carries on, this is another. So you see another sentence which I'm not going to carry on with, but you can tell that this kind of text is heavily elaborated in the sense that there is no ambiguity in it. And you can see no one shall be, again the word shall, this modal verb, which means it is an obligation. In other words, it's binding. Shall be held guilty. You can see be held, passive voice. Penal offence, again, we have these expressions used in the legal language and in the legal system. And of course, we're talking about the legal system in English. And legal systems differ from one country to another. We have to be aware of that. If it's Spanish system or Portuguese system or a French system or German system, each legal system is different. And here we're talking about the English or British system, and penal offence is an expression used there. It is repeated again because to avoid ambiguity in the legal text. And again, it says under national or international law. This is the legal language, which is the language used either regionally in that country or internationally, according to the international law. At the time when it was committed, again, we have passive voice, which is very common in the legal language, in order to make it more objective. Objectivity is extremely important. There is hardly any, we can see there are hardly any adjectives, proven guilty or proved guilty. Innocent is an adjective, guilty is an adjective, but there's no adverbs. It lacks a lot of adverbs. And the adjectives are quite limited. There's only penal, national, international, and there is also public trial, the word public as an adjective, penal again. You can see all of these are very limited number of adjectives, and that is in order to make the legal language less subjective and more objective. And there is no any kind of description of the people who are guilty or not guilty or being accused and are charged with a penal offense. Thank you.